Hey, what's going on guys? This is Jake at That Fit Friend, and today I'll be doing a best cross training shoes roundup of 2023 and early 2024. So 3 quick things before I dive into this video and my performance sections is number 1, I have pulled different shoes into different performance sections. So if you train in a certain style, please check out the bookmarks down below and be efficient with your time. That way, hopefully you can be a little bit more efficient when looking at shoes that will fit your needs best. Number 2, all these shoes can kind of transcend and perform really well in different categories. So just because I only have 3 shoes pulled for each performance category, that does not mean that those are the only 3 shoes that will work. There is a lot of nuance that goes into videos like this, and I'm trying to be efficient and synthesize a ton of information into one video. And so if you have your eyes on a shoe that I didn't include into a performance category, please feel free to drop a comment down below and ask away. And number 3, I have individual reviews on every single one of these shoes, and I have a written roundup. So definitely check those out, because if you are considering one of these models, I want to make sure you have all the information and nuance that you need before you invest in a shoe, so you can make sure that you have the right shoe for your training style. But that said, let's dive in to our first category. So my first section is the best models for just the gym. And so I call this section like the more generalist section. If you're wanting a shoe for some lifting, some cross training, maybe some CrossFit and HIIT here and there, and maybe even some short runs, all of these models can work for different reasons. So the 3 shoes that I have up here include the Adidas Dropset Trainer 2, the Reebok Nano X3, and the Under Armour Tri-Base Rain 5. So with the Adidas Dropset Trainer 2, this is one of my favorite generalist shoes at the moment. This shoe excels for 3 reasons. Number 1, you have a dual density midsole. So the midsole in this model is stable, yet the forefoot does have a nice level of flex and responsiveness. So if you're like me and you like to do plyometrics and blend that with your lifting, this model feels really awesome for tackling both of those asks. The second reason why I like this shoe is it has a very athletic fit and feel. So if you like more of a classic silhouette with your training shoes, I feel like the Dropset Trainer 2 excels really well at that. And you have a nice lightweight build here. You have some ventilation in the midsole. And so if you like a lightweight shoe also for your training needs, the Dropset Trainer 2 can be an awesome option to explore. The third reason why I like this model is Adidas actually is going a little bit more anatomical with their toe box width. So I think for most medium and slightly wider feet like myself, this shoe will fit really well for your foot anatomy. Now, if you have like a double E width foot and wider, this might not be the best shoe for you, but I think for most folks, this shoe will excel really well. And it's also a model that can work for some HIIT, some short runs and sprints under a mile, and it can also work for CrossFit. So as a generalist, the Dropset Trainer 2 is awesome. The next shoe is the Reebok Nano X3. So 3 reasons why I like this model for more generalist training is number 1, the Float Ride Energy Foam midsole in this shoe gives you a nice level of stability, but it also feels responsive enough to do things like jump rope, short runs, some sprints, some plyos, etc. You also have that lift and run chassis system in this shoe. That's basically this TPU layer that goes around the midfoot, around the heel, and then down here under the heel you have a dome that basically compresses when you're lifting, but then gives you a little bit more pop when you're running and jumping. So as a shoe that blends like lifting and versatile training together, the Reebok Nano X3 has done an exceptional job. The third reason why I like this shoe is the upper construction is pretty dang secure and the outsole has good tread. So if you're training on different surfaces and you want security for multi-directional work, the Nano X3 does a pretty good job. And this is also a shoe that can work for lifting, cross training, CrossFit, short runs, etc. So it does a really good job at being pretty strong in all those different training verticals. The third shoe up here is the Under Armour Tri-Base Rain 5. So 3 reasons why I like this model is number 1, if you want a lower drop in your training shoes, because this has a 6mm drop, this has a 7mm drop, this has a 2mm drop, that's where the Tri-Base Rain 5 can really excel. So if you like a flatter shoe for training, the Tri-Base Rain 5 could be worth looking into. This model has a flatter feel on foot, so if you want a flatter shoe for lifting, etc., this shoe might fit your needs really well. The second reason is the Micro G Foam midsole. So the midsole in this shoe, while it is a little bit higher in nature, does a really good job with overall stability, and it has a nice level of flex and responsiveness to it once you break the shoe in. It does come out of the box a little stiff, so definitely keep that in mind, but after a couple of weeks of good tough sessions, this model does break in a little bit more. You also have some grooves up here in the forefoot to help accelerate that. And then the third reason why I like this model is the Tri-Base tech on the outsole and how that helps you stabilize when you're lifting and give you grip, but then also the upper construction in this shoe. It feels very athletic and harmonious. Now the laces do run a little bit long out of the box, so you might need to swap those those out. But in general, the upper in the shoe does a pretty good job with overall security and durability for the most part. So as generalist shoes, these three are awesome to look into, but now let's talk about our next section. The next section is which shoes are best for CrossFit. So there are a lot of models that work really well in this vertical. So for example, the Tri-Base Rain 5 is pretty exceptional. Drop Set Trainer 2s work really well for my needs. There are a lot of awesome Innovate models. And then also we have the Nike Metcon line. So there are a ton of shoes, but these are three that I have pulled for different reasons. The first model up here is the Rad 1. So the Rad 1 is one of my favorite like all-around shoes for CrossFit focused work. So three reasons why I like this model is number one, the swell foam midsole. So the midsole in this shoe I like because it feels very bouncy, responsive, and versatile, but it's also stable enough to train pretty dang heavy in. So if you want a shoe that can do a little bit of everything and remain comfortable for like more cardio focused WODs, the Rad 1 works really well. The second reason why I like this shoe is its overall appearance. So this model has a nice classic look to it. So if you do like the more classic silhouette look of the shoe, it's a model that you can also wear for daily wear as well. You have a full rubber outsole and its durability should be decent across the board. So it is a good model that gives you a nice wide range of activities you can use them for. And the third reason why I like this model is the outsole wrap and tread. So with this model, you get a full rubber outsole and TPU wrap around the midsole of this shoe. It helps boost the durability of the shoe and give you additional bite on rope climbs. So as a shoe that works pretty well for pretty much most WODs, the Rad 1 has been an exceptional shoe. The second model up here is the Strike Movement Haze Trainer. So three reasons why I like the Haze Trainer is number one, compared to all the other training shoes in this video, this model is one of the most mobile and flexible. So if you're somebody who does like a shoe with a lot more flexibility and articulation, the Haze Trainer will work really well. This model I have really enjoyed for both training and daily wear purposes. The second reason why I like this model is besides its strong performance for most WODs, it's also a shoe that you can rock out and about. So generally when I'm traveling and I can only bring like one training shoe with me, the Haze Trainer is typically my go-to. It looks good, it looks casual, and you could train hard in them, and it does a pretty good job for most WOD asks regarding stability, versatility, and general durability. The third reason why I like this model is its fit. So with the Jacquard knit upper, it hugs the foot really well, and it has a nice medium width to it, so it does work for a lot of different foot anatomies. And if you like a shoe that has a bit more breathability, I find the Haze Trainer to be a pretty good option in that category. The third option up here is the Reebok Nano X3, and now this is the second time this shoe is making this list, and yes, I do feel like Reebok takes the edge over Nike in the context of shoes this year for CrossFit. So with the Nano X3, there are three reasons why I like it for CrossFit. Number one, I feel like this shoe gives you a nice wide range of capabilities. So this shoe is a little bit more runnable than some of its peers, and if you're doing WODs where you're blending lifting, jumping, and some running, the shoe feels pretty comfortable for those asks. The second reason why I like this shoe is its size works for a lot of different foot anatomies. So this model has like more medium to slightly wider width. So for most foot anatomies, the Nano X3 typically does a really good job. And then the third reason why I like this model for CrossFit is the Float Ride Energy Foam midsole blended with the lift and run chassis system gives the shoe a nice level of stability, and with that lift and run chassis system, you also get a nice level of boot support. So blending these together give you a nice versatile, stable, and secure fit and feel with your training shoes. Again, there are a lot of shoes that work for this vertical, so if none of these options work for you, hit me in the comments below. Our next section is the best cross training shoes for men. So I have three options up here that typically work really well for the anatomical asks of most dudes' foot anatomies and training styles. So we have the Nike Metcon 9, the Noble Trainer, and the Adidas Drop Set Trainer 2. So the Nike Metcon 9 can be an awesome option to look into for three reasons. Number one, compared to the prior Nike Metcon shoes, this model actually has a wider toe box. Now, wider in relativity to the prior Nike Metcons, not necessarily super wide, so it does have a slightly more anatomical fit, and I think if you have a medium to slightly wider foot width, this model should work for your overall needs. The second reason why I like this model is the dual density midsole and the reworked Hyperlift plate. Now, the Hyperlift plate does still knock into this shoe's versatility and its range for different styles of training. However, it does feel a little bit more athletic compared to the Nike Metcon 7 and 8, and with that dual density midsole, you get a nice level of bounce and stability in the shoe, so you can train heavy in them, and they feel pretty good in the forefoot for responsiveness and versatile workouts. The third reason why I like this shoe is the reworked upper construction. The upper construction in this shoe I think is a little bit better than the Metcon 7 and 8. Those models had issues with the upper durability in them. It would start to lip away from the midsole. I think that this model is going to be a little bit better. You also have an extended outsole layer up here and a haptic print. So from a durability context, I'm really optimistic that the Nike Metcon 9 will fare better than its two predecessors. The Noble Trainer is another awesome option to look into. So 3 reasons why I like the Noble Trainer is number 1, you get a high density midsole in this shoe. So if your primary concern is lifting and wanting a shoe with a very stable midsole, the Noble Trainer will be a good option to look into. It's very consistent regarding its stack height and its midsole feel. The second reason is the super fabric upper. Now the upper in Noble shoes is not known for its breathability, but in the context of durability, it does a pretty good job. And I also like that you can wear Noble trainers out and about on a daily wear basis, and with the super fabric upper, they're pretty dang easy to clean. The third reason why I like the Noble Trainer is usually it's a good option for folks with slightly flatter feet if you have a medium foot width, and the outsole tread in the shoe does a pretty good job. So if you want a shoe with good traction and you have a foot anatomy that is around like a medium width and you have a slightly more flat foot through the midfoot, the Noble Trainer can be a good option to explore. My third pickup here is the Drop Set Trainer 2. 3 reasons why I like this option for dudes is number 1, the toe box in this model is a little bit more anatomical and wide, so I think it should work for most guys' foot anatomies pretty well. The second reason is it does a really good job of blending a bunch of different elements together regarding stability and versatility. So with this dual density foam midsole, the forefoot feels really responsive. So if you're doing jump rope, box jumps, broad jumps, multi-directional work, the forefoot feels very lively, and the heel back here gives you a nice lockdown and stable feel. You also have these lateral and medial wraps here to give you additional security. The third reason why I like this option is the overall ventilation of this shoe. Now it's not going to be your best shoe for wearing in the rain and puddle jumping, but in the context of keeping your foot relatively cool, the Drop Set Trainer 2 has done an exceptional job. So our next section is the best training shoes for women. Now, obviously I'm not a lady, so with this section I have to rely heavily on the TF2 community and comments, and whenever I see women rocking one of these shoes at the gyms that I go to, I typically ask them for their thoughts. So 3 options up here that typically work really well include number 1, the Tier CX T1 Trainer. 3 reasons why this shoe can be awesome is number 1, the Surge Energy Foam midsole in this shoe I think does a really good job of blending stability and versatility, and that's typically the feedback that I receive as well. So the shoe has a nice level of maneuverability up here in the forefoot, and it has a decent level of responsiveness, but it's also stable enough to train really heavy in. So if you're pushing heavier weights on machines, free weights, etc., the Tier CX T1 Trainer should give you a nice level of stability. The second reason is if you like a little bit more arch support with your shoes, typically the Tier CX T1 Trainer will give you that. This model has a slightly more narrow to medium width, and it has a bit of arch. So if those are things that you're after with your training shoes, this can be a really good option to explore. The third reason is this model has a higher heel to toe drop. So compared to the other training shoes, this model has a 9mm drop. So if you like a little bit more heel with your training, whether it's for squats, wall balls, etc., the Tier CX T1 Trainer has a drop that will resonate with your fit and performance ask. The second shoe up here is the Rad 1. So 3 reasons why the Rad 1 can be awesome is number 1, this model has a more medium width to it, and it has a bit more of a taper through the toe box. So for narrow and medium foot widths, the Rad 1 typically fits really well for those foot anatomy asks. The second reason is with the swell foam midsole in this shoe, you get a nice blend of performance with this model. You can train heavy, you can do versatile workouts, you can do HIIT in this shoe, and you can even do short runs and they remain pretty comfortable. This is one of my favorite midsoles in the training shoes in this video. It just has a nice blend of versatility and stability. The third reason is with this model's upper construction, it has a really cool appearance. So if you're into streetwear shoes, or if you just want a shoe that you can wear out and about to run errands in and wear on a daily wear basis, but then also go train in, the Rad 1, it works exceptionally well. This is one of my go-to shoes for that ask as well. So I like the range that you get with the Rad 1, and that's typically a piece of feedback that I receive about the shoe as well. The third option up here is the Innovate F-Lite G300. So 3 reasons why the F-Lite G300 can be awesome is number 1, if you like booty style constructions and shoes that you kind of just slip on and off, the shoe works really well and you don't compromise security with the shoe because you do have a TPU midfoot cage in this model. The second reason is with the midsole in this shoe, you get a nice blend of versatility and stability, which obviously I'm hoping you're picking up on, is a consistency with most of my top picks. Having a shoe that works really well for HIIT, versatile workouts, CrossFit, cross-training, jumping, etc., but then can also be stable under heavy weight is a must for a good cross-training shoe, and the Innovate F-Lite G300 delivers on that ask. The third reason why I like this option is its outsole construction. So this model has a graphene outsole, and you also get a bit more arch in the shoe. So if you're worried about traction, that shouldn't be a concern with this model. And if you like a little bit more arch and more of taper through the midfoot in your shoe, this model should work really well for your foot anatomy ask. The next section is the best training shoes for wider feet. So 3 options up here that can work pretty dang well is number 1, the Reebok Nano 2.0. So this is what I would consider as being like the best wide option right now on the market. I know my wide-footed friends, I know you're gonna have comments down below. There are not a lot of options for you. I get annoyed because Nike, Adidas, all these big companies should offer more freaking sizing options, but I just don't feel like we're there yet. Hopefully the barefoot shoe industry pushes them there. But the Reebok Nano 2.0, 3 reasons why I like this option for wide feet is number one, the toe box of this shoe I think should be plenty wide for most foot anatomies regarding medium and slightly wider foot widths. So if you do have like an exceptionally wide foot, this model still might feel limiting, but I think for most folks, the shoe should give you enough width through the forefoot. The second reason I like this shoe is its lower profile stack height and its midsole. So this shoe has a nice stable feel and it's pretty low to the ground. So if you want a shoe with a bit more articulation that gets you closer to the ground with a bit more ground feel, that's where the Reebok Nano 2.0 can excel. And then the third reason is the shoe works exceptionally well for CrossFit, cross training, and lifting. So if those are big asks for you, the durability of this shoe does a really good job, and it's once again stable and versatile enough for those training asks. The second option up here is the Ultra Solstice XT2. So with the Ultra Solstice XT2, 3 reasons why I like this option is number one, the forefoot width. So this model, like most Ultra models, has a nice width through the forefoot and its upper volume is pretty good as well. So if you need to take out that insole and put your own insole in, typically this shoe should work for your upper volume needs. The second reason why I like this option is with its medium density, high density EVA foam midsole, it gives you a nice blend of versatility and stability. You can train heavy in this shoe and it's bouncy enough for jump rope, short runs and whatnot, and even daily wear if you choose to wear it for that. So the midsole in this shoe feels pretty good. And then the third reason why I like this shoe is the upper construction is pretty dang breathable. So if you like a more breathable and wispy upper in your training shoes, the Ultra Solstice XT2 can be a pretty good option. My only thing with this model is be very conscious of this outsole here. It can start to lip away from the midsole if you're wearing these a lot on concrete and getting a ton of like high abrasion on the outsole. So definitely keep that in mind if you plan to train outdoors in this shoe. The third option up here, which could also be rotated with models like the Nike Metcon 9, the Reebok Nano X3, the Dropset Trainer 2, is the GoRuck Ballistic Trainer. So this model has a more medium, still slightly wider width to it. Now the reason I included this option up here is because you do get different insoles with this shoe. They have a flatter insole and they also have this insole that comes in this model that has arch support for your 3 different arches. So if you want to swap that out and have a flatter feel in your training shoe, and if you need a shoe with a medium to slightly wider width, that's where the Ballistic Trainer can excel. And that's the first reason why I like them for this section. The second reason is with the midsole in this shoe, it's very consistent. So if you need a shoe for lifting, cross training, and even rucking and whatnot, this model's midsole should give you a nice blend of stability and versatility. The heel is plenty dense and the forefoot up here has a good level of maneuverability once it's broken in. And then the third reason why I like this shoe is the outsole tread is pretty solid with this different compound rubber outsole. And then you also have an upper construction that typically lasts a while. I also like that GoRuck typically honors their products. So if you ever have breakdown issues with your ballistic trainers, especially that are a little bit premature in your opinion, you can usually reach out and they will either replace it or fix the shoe at no cost. So that's also a perk I think of most GoRuck products and the Ballistic Trainer. My next section is the best training shoes for HIIT. So if you're somebody that's regularly doing classes and HIIT workouts, these are 3 options that can work really well for different reasons. The first shoe up here is the Nike Free Metcon 5. So 3 reasons why I like this model is number one, with the Nike Free tech in the shoe's midsole, it gives the forefoot and midfoot a little bit more maneuverability in the shoe. So for HIIT workouts, we're gonna be primarily on the forefoot. The shoe typically works really well regarding flexibility and articulation. The second reason is with the more thick heel back here. You do get a bit more stability in the shoe compared to other models that are traditionally worn for HIIT. So if you are somebody who wants a HIIT shoe or HIIT focus shoe for some moderate strength training, the shoe does a good job. Like I would probably cap your loading to about 275 pounds in the shoe. That's when I start to notice midsole compression. But if you're training under that threshold and you want a shoe for primarily HIIT workout and some strength work blended in, the shoe works pretty dang well. The third reason is with the booty style construction of the shoe and reworked upper construction, kind of toe box width in the shoe, it feels a little wider than its predecessor, the Nike Free Metcon 4, and it has a nice comfortable fit, and the upper security does a pretty good job for multi-directional work and explosive work. So the Nike Free Metcon 5 is one of my favorite models right now for HIIT focus workouts specifically. The second option up here is the On Cloud X3. So 3 reasons why I like the On Cloud X3 is number one, With the CloudTech midsole in this shoe, similar to the Nike Free Metcon 5, you do get a nice level of articulation and it gives you a nice level of pop. This midsole is pretty dang versatile. It's not the most stable on the market. I would not recommend training heavy in the shoe, but when it comes to jumping, some light strength work, and being a little bit more bouncy on the forefoot, the On Cloud X3 works pretty well. The second reason is its overall lightweight build. So if you like a shoe that's very lightweight on the foot and you want something that has a good level of breathability, the On Cloud X3 can typically be a pretty good option to explore, and that's also why I think a lot of folks like to wear the On Cloud X3 for daily wear and for training. The third reason is with this shoe's CloudTech midsole and its overall fit and feel, you can run a little bit more in this model. So if you are somebody that wants that shoe for HIIT workouts, but then also tacking on 1, 2, even 3 miles here and there, pre and post workout, the On Cloud X3 does a pretty good job for those asks. My third pick up here is the Reebok Nano X3. So for my third pick in this section, I wanted to include a shoe that also works pretty well for heavy lifting. And now in that context, the Rad 1, the Innovate F-Lite G300, the Strike Movement Haze Trainer, and the Adidas Dropset Trainer 2, they all work really well in this context too. But I wanted to include one more like generalist option up here that can have a little bit more range regarding stability and HIIT workouts. So with the Reebok Nano X3, 3 reasons why I like them for HIIT is number one, with the FlexWeave upper construction and with that lift and run chassis system, you get a good level of security with this shoe. So if you're doing skater strides or any form of lateral work or any form of forward and backwards explosive work, this shoe does a pretty good job at locking the foot down. The second reason is with the outsole tread in this shoe, you get a nice level of traction. So whether you're trading on wooden floors, rubber gym floors, or on turf, this model's grip does a pretty dang good job. And then the third reason is with that Reebok Float Ride Energy Foam midsole, you can train heavy with the shoe, but it also doesn't feel so over encumbersome to where you can't do short runs and HIIT workouts. So if you want a shoe for a little bit of everything, the Reebok Nano X3, it works exceptionally well, and it does have a slightly heavier build to it. So if you are somebody that does like a slightly heavier shoe for HIIT workouts because of the security and stability that they provide, then that's where I can also see the Reebok Nano X3 excelling over these more lightweight, more flexible options up here. The next section is the best training shoes for running. Now, if you are looking for a shoe specifically for running, and that is a majority of your asks, look into shoes that are much more specific in nature. This section is designed to give you a couple of options that can work for runs for like 1 to 2, even 3 miles at any given time, typically like either as a hybrid focus workout or pre and post workout. So 3 options up here include number 1, the Under Armour Flow Dynamic. So the Flow Dynamic is a training shoe that I would say has a very heavy running bias to it. 3 reasons why I like this option is number 1, with the Flow midsole in this shoe, you get a nice level of responsiveness. So this shoe has a more running shoe feel to it regarding its pop and its feel when you are running in the shoe. So if you want a model to kind of replicate a running shoe, but not necessarily be a full-on running shoe, that's where I think this midsole can excel. The second reason is with this shoe's upper construction, it has a very lightweight feel to it. So if you want a shoe that has a good level of breathability for short runs and for some training, that's where this option can excel. And then the third reason is if you want a lightweight option, that is where the shoe is going to excel. This model has a full foam flow outsole here, so you don't have any rubber on the shoe. It keeps the shoe very lightweight, and if you want something very lightweight on the foot for running, jumping, and light training, that's where the Flow Dynamic I think can excel. The second option up here is the On Cloud X3. So 3 reasons why I like the On Cloud X3 for this context is number 1, the CloudTech midsole is pretty forgiving and responsive. So if you just want a shoe for some casual short runs or even some faster paced interval runs, the CloudTech midsole in the shoe should do a pretty good job. The second reason is the lightweight nature of this shoe and the speedboard tech throughout. So this model has a nice lightweight feel, and it does have a good level of stability in the context of giving you a last construction that has flex, but still enough of a platform to ground the foot on. So if you like having a bit more of like a stable feel to the midfoot and heel of your shoe, but you do want a shoe that does have a bit more runability to it, that's where the shoe can excel. And then the third reason is if you want a shoe for some short runs, training, and then daily wear, I think the On Cloud X3 is one of the more aesthetic shoes on the market in that context when you look into different colorways. So if you like the look of the On Cloud X3, it should also work pretty well as a daily wear shoe as well. The third option up here, and this was an option that was pretty controversial because I went back and forth on certain shoes, is the Rad 1. So 3 reasons why I like the Rad 1 in this training vertical is number 1, if you're somebody that has a primary ask of CrossFit, cross training, and lifting, but you do want a shoe that has some runability, the Rad 1 can be an awesome option. And that also goes for like the Reebok Nano X3 and the Tri-Base Rain 5. Those are also options that I can run short runs in and they don't feel overly uncomfortable. The second reason is with the shoe's upper construction, production. I love that you can wear it out and about and for longer walks, and that it has an outsole tread that doesn't break down too fast. That's also why I like the On Cloud X3. I like the range that you get with these shoes and how they feel for more, let's call it cardio focused asks and training verticals. The third reason is with the TPU wrapper on the midsole and this full rubber outsole, you get a good level of traction and tread in the shoe, and it typically lasts a while. So if you do want to do short runs outdoors, I don't think you're going to have the outsole in the shoe break down too quickly. So that's a perk of this shoe. But overall, these are 3 options that can work for short runs and training to different extents. All right, y'all, that wraps up this video of some of my favorite cross training shoes of 2023 and early 2024. To be quite honest with you, these videos always give me a ton of anxiety because there are so many great shoes and there is so much nuance that goes into finding shoes that fit your foot anatomy, training asks, and needs. So if you have additional questions about any of these models, please drop a comment down below or reach out to me personally. I do reply to pretty much everybody on videos and in my DMs on Instagram, so I will hit you back, I promise. But that said, as always, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next one.